Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu, and I'm back with another Digimon deck profile video. So today I'm going to be taking a look at RB01, and RB01 offers us a couple of new decks to be able to build and play around with. One of the new decks is going to be a new iteration on the Gammamon deck. So as far as the Gammamon deck, one thing to keep in mind is that this is more of a casual deck, and it's not going to be performing the great in the current BT13 meta against some of the top decks that we already have. So if you think this is going to be a big change or shakeup to where the meta currently is, well, it doesn't seem like it's going to have that great of an impact. But this is going to be one of the better decks to build out of RB01 regardless, and it's still a very fun and entertaining deck to mess around with just because of the sheer amount of customization that you have, thanks to its whole goal and game plan on trying to toolbox your Digimon to have lots of different abilities to handle various different situations. But as far as the two main builds that people are going to be building towards, you have the pure Seriousmon build. This is basically going to be your more budget-friendly build, focused more on Seriousmon, and then you could kind of throw in whatever supporting level 6 and 7 in the deck that you want, just because, well, it doesn't really matter, because Sirius is going to be the main boss monster of the deck. Proximamon is going to be the main build, and this is going to be what I would label as the more traditional or competitive build, focused around Seriousmon, Arcturusmon, and Proximamon as the big top end to try to have as much impact and synergy with your cards as you humanly possibly can. So for this build, I am going to be showing off the Proxima build just because that is going to be the more competitively viable build. So starting off with the Digitama, I am going to be running 5 Digitamas. You don't have to run a 5th Digitama if you don't want to, but the Digitama slot for this deck is going to be doing nothing but drawing us cards. So I am going to be utilizing 4 copies of the BT8 Gammamon just because its condition on allowing us to draw cards is a little bit easier to meet than RB01's, but RB01's still has some value, again, just helping us draw cards to make the deck as consistent as possible. Next, on to the level 3s, I'm going to be running 4 copies of the Promo 59 Gammamon. So Promo 59 Gammamon is just in here, well, because we do care about having Gammamon's name, just because that's something the deck already cares about, but the main pull on utilizing this card is the fact that it's just going to help a DP boost our Digimon to make them a little bit stronger and hit specific DP thresholds that we're looking for. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of the RB01 Gammamon, just because this is going to be the deck's dedicated searching or digging tool, looking for our other Gammamon-based cards, and our main Tamer, which is going to be Hero. Then, on top of that, it's just another inheritable ability to try to help it DP boost our Digimon to make them as strong as possible. Then I'm going to be running 3 copies of the Gammamon, which is going to be Promo 58, or the RB6 version of Gammamon, just because, again, we're looking to turn our native abilities into inheritable abilities, and this one has a really good one, allowing us to add some extra control into the deck, where it allows us to be able to attack the opponent's unsuspended Digimon, which is something very, very powerful, just to deal with lots of different possible threats. Then I'm also going to be running, as the last rookie and last Gammamon, 2 copies of the BT8 Gammamon, just because we are going to be playing with some Tamers, so the card draw is going to be very helpful on its native ability, and its inheritable ability, again, is just some more extra control. This time it's for the opponent's low-level Digimon, so we could use that to pick apart the opponent's low-level Digimon, and use some of our various other abilities to try to pick apart their higher-level Digimon as well. Next, on to the level 4s, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Battle Gammamon. So this is the RB1 version of Battle Gammamon, and he has the native ability of Raid, which is really good in case we're trying to use him to control the opponent's low-level Digimon, or we could use this with our level 5s to be able to give our higher-level Digimon the Raid ability as well for even more control. But regardless, this is also a really decent card just because he also has a nice when digivolving ability, where if we don't have our main Tamer, which is going to be our hero, in play, then we could play one. One of the big reasons why I'm not running this at a higher quantity is because I already have something that kind of does what Raid already does, so that's kind of where you could kind of shift around the rookie slots depending on how you're going to be approaching your level 4s. But the return on the when Digivolving ability, if we already have a hero set up, isn't really that great, which is why I'm only running it at 2. But I'm also going to be running 2 copies of the other Battle Gammamon from BT8, just because he has the when Digivolving ability of Blitz. Next, I'm going to be running 3 copies of Gullus Gammamon. So this is going to be the brand new one, and he has a nice slew of abilities for Arcturusmon to synergize with. So what he's doing is he has a nice end of attack ability where we get to delete this Digimon to delete one of the opponent's Digimon whose DP is equal to or less than this Digimon's DP, which is why DP boosting is pretty important, so that way we could try to increase the range in which we could delete the opponent's Digimon by. But he also has a nice on-delete ability to pair up with it, so even when our Digimon is getting deleted, whether it's through our effect or the opponent's, we're at least still going to be able to have a sticky body just because we could play a Gammamon from our trash suspended for free. Then, on top of that, I'm going to be running 3 copies of the BT10 Gullus Gammamon for some very similar reasons, where we're basically just going to use his All Turns ability to be able to give our Digimon the retaliation effect. Then, on top of that, he has that same on-delete ability that we just saw with our other Gullus Gammamon, where it's just trying to create a sticky body on allowing us to be able to play one of our Gammamons from our trash for free, suspended. And then the last champion of the deck that I'm going to be running is going to be 2 copies of the new Wizen Gammamon. So Wizen Gammamon just has the blocker ability, so if we need him for some good early game defense, we could, but the fact that our Digimon are going to be spreading this ability around to our higher stages means that we can have some pretty big blockers to try to wall out what the opponent is potentially threatening us with. Next, on to the level 5s. I'm going to be running 3 copies of Kana Weissmon. So I'm going to be running the BT10 Kana Weissmon as the main Kana Weissmon, just because the Security Attack Plus allows us to try to deal more damage to close out games a little bit quicker, which is very, very valuable in this type of environment. Then he has that All Turns ability, where this Digimon gains all of the effects from Digimon with Gammamon in their name from this Digimon's Digivolution sources, so this is what's allowing us to be able to utilize our native abilities as inheritable abilities. Then his inheritable ability is the same as that All Turns ability, so that way it works even with our level 6s and above. Next, I'm going to be running 2 copies of the brand new RB01 Kana Weissmon. So this version of Kana Weissmon doesn't actually have any abilities for us to use, it just allows us to be able to warp from our Gammamon right up into this card, which is okay, it's pretty conditional, but the fact that this card isn't actually adding that much extra value with any additional abilities is the only reason why I'm not running him any more of. But he does have the same native and inheritable ability that we saw with the old Kana Weissmon, allowing our Digimon to be able to spread their native abilities as inheritables. And then the last ultimate of the deck is going to be 3 copies of Regulusmon. So Regulusmon is another really strong Digimon for this deck to use, in combination especially with our Gullus Gammamons. So he has a nice when Digivolving and when attacking ability, where once per turn we get to trash a card with Gammamon in its text from our hand, and one of our Digimon gains an extra on-delete ability of being able to delete your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level until the end of the opponent's turn, really de-incentivizing the opponent from wanting to delete your Digimon if you're not deleting it yourself. But because we already know that we do have ways to be able to delete it ourselves, it's just forming some nice combo synergy to be able to have some extra removal. Then he, just like the other Kana Weissmons, has that same inheritable and secondary native ability to be able to spread our Gammamon's native abilities as inheritables as well. All of the level 5s do it, so you can kind of customize and mix and match what level 5s you want based on what level 4s you're going to be running, and that's going to have some good impact on what the deck could potentially do. Next, on to the level 6s. I'm going to be running 4 copies of Siriusmon. So Siriusmon is going to be the main level 6 of the deck, just because of how strong this card can be. So he has a nice when digivolving ability where we get to place a Digimon with Gammamon in its text from our hand as the bottom Digivolution source to be able to delete one of the opponent's Digimon whose DP is equal to or less than this Digimon's DP. So this is one of the main reasons why we want those DP boosters, is so that way he could reach specific numbers to delete basically anything we feel like we want to delete. And the fact that he adds cards to his inheritable sources makes that even easier to accomplish. Then on top of that, he also has a nice secondary ability where during your turn, once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, we get to unsuspend this Digimon. Then, as far as the supporting level 6 of the deck, Arcturusmon is going to be the best supporting one for the most competitively viable version of this deck, just because he has a nice when digivolving ability, where we again get to place a Digimon with Gammamon in its text from our hand or trash as this Digimon's bottom Digivolution source, and then we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with a level equal to or less than the number of cards in this Digimon's Digivolution source. So he, again, is just trying to do what Siriusmon is doing, just being able to digivolve, add cards into its sources. This one has a little bit more reach on where we could pull cards from to add to its sources, and again, if we have enough sources underneath them, then he could just basically delete anything he wants. But this card also has a nice on-delete ability, which pairs up nicely with the purple Gammamon-based cards that we've been seeing, where we get to return one Digimon from our trash to our hand. Then, by trashing a Siriusmon from our hand, we get to play a Proximamon from our hand for free. So when this card eventually gets deleted, if it does, then we basically get to play our big level 7 for free, which is really, really nice. Then he has a nice inheritable ability where during your turn, once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, if this Digimon has a Gammamon in its text, then we get to trash the top card of the opponent's security stack for some free additional damage. And then speaking of Proximamon, the whole reason why we want to try to run Arcturusmon is because it does help set up our Proximamon. Proximamon doesn't have an on-play ability, but he does have a nice Alterns ability where once per turn, when another Digimon is deleted, we get to play out a level 4 or lower Digimon with Gammamon in its name from our trash for free. So just for deleting the opponent's Digimon, which is something the deck already has lots of ways of doing, we get to start spamming the field with our mid-sized bodies to keep up the pressure. Then, on top of that, he also has a nice ability where at the end of your turn, once per turn, by placing one card with Gammamon in its text from our hand or trash to the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution source, we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon. So not only do we have ways on continuously adding cards to its inheritable sources to make them even stronger ability-wise, but we also have some nice built-in removal attached to them. Next, on to the Tamers, I'm going to be running 4 copies of the brand new RB01 hero. So this hero has a nice engine ability attached to it, where at the start of our main phase, by placing one Digimon with Gammamon in its name from our hand, at the bottom of one of our Digimon's Digivolution source, we get to gain a memory and draw a card. So this card is doing so much extra work for the deck, allowing us to be able to stack our inheritable abilities whenever we feel like we want to, and even replace itself and gain some additional memory to make our plays as tempo efficient. Then this card also has a way to be able to DP boost our Digimon, where during your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Digimon with Gammamon in its text, then we get to suspend this Tamer to be able to gain plus 2000 DP, so for literally just digivolving up our chain, we get to increase the DP of our Digimon during our turn, which is super nice because we do have a lot of DP-based abilities. Then, on top of that, I'm going to be running 2 copies of the old BT8 hero, just because, yes, he is a hero, yes, he is a memory fixer to always make sure that we have at least 3 memory to work with, which has diminishing returns the more heroes that you have, but this hero at least still can help DP boost our Digimon. And then as far as the options go, I'm only going to be running one option, and that's going to be 1 copy of Breakclaw. So Brayclaw is a very synergistic and easy option for us to use. Yes, this is a DP boosting option, so for the low cost of 1, we just flat out give one of our Digimon plus 2000 DP. But the upside to using this card is then we get to place a Digimon card with Gammamon in its name from our hand underneath one of our Digimon to the bottom of its Digivolution source, and then we get to draw 1, so we get to cycle through our deck a little bit more, DP boost our Digimon, and give potentially our Digimon another ability for us to use and capitalize on. Then it even has a nice security ability for when it's triggered, allowing us to be able to play a Gammamon from our hand or trash for free for some even more pressure that we could put onto the opponent. But that's pretty much it for the main build. We do have some other useful cards that you could think about utilizing depending on how you're going to be approaching the deck. I already mentioned before that there's 2 builds, the Seriousmon and Proxima build. So with the Sirius build, you do have the promo Seriousmon, and you also do have Dorbikmon to lean into to try to help support Seriousmon from RB01 as best as you possibly can. Then we do have some other decent abilities that we could use just because we do have more potential level 4 Gammamons with some pretty decent abilities. We do have the old Wizen Gammamon for piercing, we have the old Cost Gammamon for trying to make our Digimon harder to block, and we even have the new Cost Gammamon for evade to add some extra protections past replacing our Digimon when they get deleted. Then on top of that, we also do have the promo hero that we could think about running to try to make our Digimon hit a little bit harder by adding extra ways to give our Digimon security attack plus. Then we do have some other pretty decent cards to act as good filler. So we do have Crimson Blaze as one of the best removal options that we could think about, not only reducing its cost potentially depending on the matchup, but being able to delete multiple Digimon is super valuable, and acting as a good floodgate at times to stop the opponent from being able to play out their Digimon by card effects could also be super relevant. Then as far as some other decent level 5s that we could play around with, we do have Chimeramon just because we already could be playing and are playing with a lot of different. Then the last card that I'm going to be mentioning is going to be Analog Boy, just because we do have some instances of wanting to have cards in our trash to be able to use, and Analog Boy is just a really cheap search tool, on top of the fact that we do want to try to delete our level 5 or higher Digimon at times, which Analog Boy synergizes with. So that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and down in the description below are a couple of different ways you could support me and the channel. So I do have a TCG Player affiliate link, so when you use that link to buy cards off of TCG Player, then some of that money will go to supporting me and the channel. I also do make and sell playmats over on Overcard Gamers on Facebook, so when you buy a playmat with my design, then some of that money will also go to help supporting me and the channel. And on top of all of that, I do have a Twitch account over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, so giving me a follow and a subscription also helps support me there, and I do play Digimon on top of various other games on that platform as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.